By the time I woke the next morning, my mind had worked out a plan of action. I can obtain potatoes and fish in my own valley, but there is no salt in my valley as far as I know. So I need to figure out how much salt will I need to preserve so many fish. At this point, I don't know this. So my first order of business will be to go catch some more fish, bring it back to my potato cellar, and preserve them with salt. That way I can see how much salt preserving the fish will use. So today, instead of digging potatoes, I'm going to walk across the potato patch to catch some more fish. I had forgotten how long a walk it was from my potato cellar to my river. It took me 2 hours to make the walk. This was the same time as it did last time. After I arrived at the river, I began to contemplate the experiences I had the last time I caught fish. I remembered that when the fish swam by, one or two at a time, it took me 3 minutes to catch one fish. But when the big schools of fish came by, I was able to scoop the fish out at the rate of about 10 fish per minute. Maybe I'll get lucky and a big school will swim by. After several minutes, my first fish swam by. But he was all alone, so I decided to just let him swim on. I'll wait for a big school. I waited by the river for several more minutes. Eventually, another single fish came along. Again, I decided to let this fish swim by so I could wait for a big school. I kept standing by the river waiting for a school of fish to come by, but they mostly swam by one fish at a time, and several times two fish at once. Came by. I continued to do this for an hour and a half, but no schools of fish came by, just one or two fish at a time. I kept count of the fish that did swim by, and they were swimming by me at the rate of about 20 fish every hour. If the fish continued to swim by at this slow rate, it would take me another hour and a half to catch the 30 fish that I needed for today. That meant I would have to catch every fish that swam by. I wanted to catch 30 fish because I needed to eat 10 fish to keep me healthy and to keep me happy. And I wanted to have 20 fish to salt to see if I could preserve them in my potato cellar. I did some quick math in my head, and this made me start to worry. The walk from my potato cellar to my river had taken me 2 hours. The walk home will take me 2 hours, so that's 4 hours of my 10-hour daylight already gone. I've just spent an hour and a half not catching any fish. If I'm lucky and catch every fish that swims by in the next hour and a half, I will at least have my 30 fish. That also means that I will have consumed 3 hours trying to catch fish. 3 hours catching fish plus the 4 hours of walking time means that I might get back to my potato cellar. With a couple of hours of daylight left, I still need to be able to salt the fish once I get back there. So I jumped in and started to catch every fish that swam by. Because the fish had more room to swim around than they did when they were in a tight school, it was more work for me to catch the fish. After I caught each fish, I put him at the side of the river in the potato patch. So as each fish would swim by, I'd jump in, catch him, and throw him up on the side of the potato patch. I kept doing this over and over. Eventually, my collection of fish got pretty big. I kept on catching fish as fast as I could. Eventually, I had the 30 fish that I was looking for. It actually took me longer to catch the fish than I had estimated. Instead of an hour and a half, it took me 2.5 hours to catch all 30 fish. I now have 8 hours invested in this workday, 4 hours walking time and 4 hours catching fish. After walking back to my potato cellar, I'm going to have less than 2 hours of daylight left. So I picked up my 30 fish and took off from my potato cellar. After a long, tiring walk, carrying all those heavy fish, I finally made it back to my potato cellar. I was really hungry after having done all that walking and all that fishing, so I put 20 of the fish in my potato cellar and I ate the other 10. I wanted to preserve the fish that I put in the potato cellar so that they didn't go bad, but I wasn't sure how much salt to use. So I decided to use half the salt that I brought back from my trip from my ocean. I spread half of the salt that I had brought back from my ocean all over the fish and mixed it around real well. Then I left them covered with a slight layer so that it looked similar to what I had seen when I found the tuna fish buried in the salt pond. That night, I fell asleep and had a very sound sleep because I was so exhausted. However, I had dreams that raised questions in my mind. I was unsure if putting the salt on the fish I got from my river would preserve them in my potato cellar. I was hoping that when I woke up the next morning, that the fish would not stink. When I woke the next morning, I immediately went to my potato cellar to see if my fish had started to stink. I was totally overjoyed to find that the fish did not stink, and they seemed to be perfectly preserved. Now I seem to have a workable strategy for catching and preserving fish, and for digging and saving potatoes. I still have half the salt left that I brought back from my ocean. So today I'm just going to go straight to the river, catch fish starting immediately, and come right back and salt them. I was fortunate in that I had the same luck today as I did yesterday in catching fish. There was no big schools, but I was able to catch 30 fish in 3 hours. That meant that I had been away for about 7 hours. 4 hours for the round-trip walk and 3 hours catching fish. Just as I had done yesterday, I ate 10 of the fish, and I put the 20 other fish in my potato cellar. I then took my remaining salt and packed it all around my new fish. I was careful to leave all the fish covered with a thin layer of salt. Things were definitely looking up. In 2 days, I had caught, preserved, and saved 40 fish towards my retirement goals. What was even better was that I was able to catch the 20 fish each day in only about 7 hours compared to 15 hours to dig and save 20 potatoes. So it looked like I was able to catch and preserve fish at least twice the rate that I could dig and save potatoes. That night when I went to bed, I slept like a baby and had wonderful dreams. I seemed to be back on track towards being able to meet my retirement savings goals. I had 2 good and different tasting sources of food, and I wasn't too concerned about half my fish going bad every year. Although I hadn't caught and preserved fish long enough to have a good feeling for how long they would actually stay preserved, I felt confident that they would definitely last a lot longer than potatoes.